This is Fountain Pendulum. I'm excited to share with you my fountain pen collection for 2025. And let me go over the layout. So first of all, we are using Tomoe River Sanzen paper, and we'll proceed with each pen and stating the fountain pen and the nib itself. I'll then have two ratings, one for the pen itself and one for the nib itself. One thing to keep in mind when considering my rating here is that this isn't like an overall rating comparing any fountain pens in general. This is a rating pertaining specifically to my collection, my favorites, what I enjoy. So just bear that in mind. If something feels like it got a low score, it's in comparison to other pens that I favor in my collection and to my specific points of preference and enjoyment. As we go through, I have some photos and micro shots of each pen that I'll be sharing. I really love nibs and nib grinds, and I like to see the differences and how they're shaped. So that's just me sharing some information with you that I really enjoy the details and technicalities of. And another thing also is, in past times, I have used ink like Waterman Serenity Blue for consistency and comparison, but in this collection video, I'm not really necessarily comparing the pens, I'm just sharing my collection with you. And for that reason, I've opted to go ahead and ink up my pens with ink pairings that I enjoy writing with. So let's go ahead and get started. The Lamy Al-Star in Cosmic. So aluminium body, ink window, cartridge converter pen. And the reason I have this pen is specifically I wanted the Kanji nib and to try that out. Now, as far as ranking, the pen itself, I'm not terribly fond of. There's not anything wrong with it. It's just not a favorite. So, again, a very subjective rating, but to me, a 2. And the nib, the Kanji nib, I really enjoy it, and I love that they offer something unique for a very approachable price, though this nib is now discontinued. But I prefer pens with more personality than this offers. Next we have the Twsbi Classic in Turquoise, an ink window, and a steel extra fine Jowo nib number 5. This is a piston filling pen and metal on metal threads. I think this pen has a good build, but there's many things about it, like the grip section I find too small in diameter to be comfortable for longer writing sessions. I give this a 4 out of 8. Now, the nib, I love the feedback on these Twsbi Extra Fines. I haven't had that many, so I can't say that they're all like this. but I find them very delightful for being a steel nib. Though I wish it wrote finer than this, being an extra fine. Wancher Shizuki. I like that the color on this pen is neutral because it gives me the liberty to ink any color of ink, though that's, you know, not a hard fast rule, but an inclination. It's a glass nibbed fountain pen with a cartridge converter. So what I really like this fountain pen for is using shimmer inks, because there's not many fountain pens that I do use shimmer inks or sheening inks in. We have metal on metal here and a very small grip section. The nib itself writes very nicely, but because the threads are shared between the cap and the body, sometimes the wrong end of the section unthreads when you uncap the pen. I think that's quite annoying. So for the pen itself, a 4, and the nib is really quite nice. This is a Russ pens. It's quite massive, a lot larger than I was anticipating. But what I really love about it is it's pale moon wood with Ultem. And it's actually lined with Ultem on the inside as well. Very nicely made. And this is a cartridge converter. A number 6 Jowo nib is what it accepts, which I think with the size of this pen, a number 8 would have been fitting, because the number 6 to me looks a little small, but it's comfortable in the sense of the step up is minimal, the threads are minimal, not the smoothest, but not uncomfortable. I'd say for my hand personally, this pen is quite large, so it's not great for long writing sessions. But I really love the combination and the color. And I have a custom nib put in here that I'll show you in the writing sample. I really love the wood and Ultem combination, but I don't care for the feel of lacquered wood. It disconnects me from that tactile feel of the wood itself, though I know wood does have to be finished and sealed. It kind of is like Ultem. Ultem has, or ebonite. They both have a feel if it's not too polished or too sealed with another item. And then my personal comfort and all that. And then the nib is fantastic. This is my everyday carry pen. we've been together for quite some time. It's a Ferris custom in white Delrin. It's a pop cap and a metal olive green section. This is a cartridge converter, but it can be eyedroppered. And I find this an extremely comfortable pen, and I really enjoy that feeling of the Delrin as well. And this takes a Bach 6 nib insert. And this is a custom grind I have on here, so I'll show you how that writes and share it with you. I really like this pen a lot. There's not much that could be improved upon with it. I really like it a lot. Same with the nib. Excellent grind. Really like that a lot. Pilot Vanishing Point, the capless in matte black. Has a knock, and it's a cartridge converter. I really like the body of this pen, the look and the feel and everything to do with the design. And I had issues and Pilot fixed it, no problem. So, which were more my fault than theirs, stories. And then the nib. Now when I got this extra fine gold nib, it was very dry and rather scratchy, and I tuned it to be more wet, maybe a little too much, because now it doesn't feel like a Japanese extra fine. But I would say pre-tuning, that was a disappointment of a nib, like a 3. But after, now that I've tuned it, it's really nice. Pelikan M400 White Tortoise, a modern Pelikan. Still with a translucent white tortoise body, which I really like. The combination is so gorgeous. And I do find the threads sharp and the section and the diameter of the body really too small myself. But the cool thing is you can swap the nibs. This is a vintage nib from a M250 that you'll see later in my collection. So I really like that you can swap these nibs out, because I'm not fond of the Pelikan modern nibs. Reading this pen is hard because the body itself is very beautiful, but it is small in diameter for comfort, and then the threads are really sharp. So for beauty, this is like a 10 out of 10, honestly. It's gorgeous. And the piston works really smoothly. But because of the diameter and the thread discomfort, it really knocks it down quite a bit to me. And then the nib. Now this is the vintage nib that I swapped it with, not the modern one it came with. So bear that in mind. The nib on this is really a gem. The old gold is bouncy and responsive, and though this is an extra fine, it's ground almost like an architect, so it's really a gem to me. Pelikan M250 Blue Marbled. This is a more vintage Pelikan, really lovely. All the pistons on these work so great. And in addition to the piston is an ink window because the body itself is not translucent. Now this is the modern nib that I swapped with the white Tortoise prior to it. And this has been ground because the original extra fine on a modern Pelikan nib are bulbous and ginormous and not a pleasant writer to me. Now, I do find maybe the threads on this vintage pen to be a little bit maybe smoother than the modern one, but not by much. And the real gem with getting this pen, this vintage pen, was the vintage nib that I swapped. So as far as the body of this pen goes, like, it's a well-made pen, but it's not to my aesthetic. And then now, if I was to rank the modern extra fine nib, I don't like it. It would be like a 2. But with having it ground, the grind didn't really turn out quite what I had in mind. So likewise, that's going to bump it a little bit, but not much. It's still not a nib that I find very enjoyable to write with. So yeah, it's just in the middle. Another Pelikan M400. This is also a vintage with a clear barrel with the tortoise color. It's very striking. I don't really know how to capture this appropriately on camera, but it's gorgeous. And then the ends are a dark brown. So really lovely. Same challenges, like it's quite, you know, a lot of vintage pens are quite thin in diameter. The threads are quite sharp. But again, the joy is this translucent, beautiful tortoise section, and also this vintage nib. So the medium nibs originally are kind of ground almost like a stub or like a cursive italic, but I had this ground further. So let me show it to you. So we have another balance between beauty and comfort with this particular pen. And then the nib, as you can see, these vintage nibs are very soft and responsive, so I can get some nice flex out of this on top of the beautiful grind that was done. So I really enjoy this a lot. Pelikan 100, a real vintage, nearly 100 years old. celluloid, green celluloid here, piston filler. Again, I believe ebonite for the body and the knob and all that. And then a darling 14 karat nib. The threads are, you know, so-so. I do like, you know, that it's quite seamless. There's a bit of a ridge here. For the age of the pen, it's held up quite nicely. It has had some restoration with the piston and all that. So let's give it some writing. Original nib, no grinding, ebonite, monstrous feeds on that. Now, given that this is a vintage and fair condition, but still has, you know, kind of the challenges that an old vintage pen would have, you have to maintain that piston, and it definitely feels delicate. It's a stay-at-home pen, so that's what I rank the pen itself. Now, the nib is an absolute treasure because it can hold down that true extra fine line, but then look at that beautiful flex. Now, I would probably rank it higher than this, but this particular nib looks like it might have a little bit of a history, and maybe it had some it could be tuned maybe better. So for that reason, we'll rank it as so. Mont Blanc 221. It's a dark green, really nice clip section here, the finial, piston knob that's pretty nicely integrated. It has a snap cap, very satisfying, very well done. I love the tapering on the band there. And then we have a small ink window on the section. It's a piston filler. Very, very comfortable in the hand, though it's small in diameter. And a really nice inlaid nib. Very sleek. I also post, and it posts pretty deeply, so very comfortable in that regard as well. And I have had a custom grind on this, so we'll talk about that. For the pen itself, I love the aesthetic. I like that it's dark green, though the camera's not showing it very well, instead of black. I also really like the burgundy one that they have of this, or maybe more of a purplish color. The only thing is that it's quite thin diameter, so I don't find it the most comfortable, but the piston works beautifully even still. I believe it was a new old stock when I got it. And the nib is bouncy. It's an absolute delight. It already was when I got it originally, before the grind. And the grind is one of my favorites. This is my Visconti Viscontina. It's a celluloid pen, sterling silver details, has the Visconti bridge arch there, and it's a pocket pen. It's very darling. I love the shape, I love the color, I love the material, and then it has a very sizable nib for how small a pen it is. It posts kind of shallow, which makes the pen more of a full size, and it has a really cute cutout heart breather hole on it as well. And I do have a custom grind on this. Also, this is a push-pull filling mechanism, and the back end is a matching celluloid. It's very, very cute design. Doesn't hold a whole lot of ink, but enough. Pen itself, for the age it is in a little bit of rough condition, particularly with the filling mechanism and the housing for the nib. Otherwise, I would probably give this a higher ranking, but I think just per the condition that the pen itself is in, it kind of lowers it a bit. The nib is delightful. It was delightful. It's even better now with an architect grind. I would say the only thing is I would have preferred a smaller architect grind. It's a little bit large for my writing particularly, but all the same, very, very good. The Omas Dama, or Lady. So this is the original Omas. It's a smaller lady size or pocket sized pen. It has a beautiful celluloid and really lovely details. It's also faceted. This is a piston pen, and the threads are really smooth, small in diameter because of the vintage and the size, and a bicolored Omas original nib, 18 karat. Everything is original on this. I have had it tuned, but not ground. For the pen itself, it is small, so a little bit uncomfortable in that respect. I did pick this up secondhand, and to the prior owner didn't have, in my opinion, the respect they should have for a pen of this caliber. But with all those things in mind, if this was in perfect condition, I would rank it higher. And, you know, the size is a little bit uncomfortable, but it's a beautiful pen. The nib, if it was an extra fine, I would like it even more, but these nibs are amazing. Ebonite feed also. This is a very natural segue to the Scribo Feel because of the nib being so closely linked to the Omas. So this is a Scribo Feel in the Strata Quartz. It's faceted, beautiful silhouette, surprisingly comfortable in the hand, even though it has a sizable step down, and a beautifully made in-house nib. The resin is gorgeous. Now, this pen is absolutely gorgeous. I think the only thing that I can think of is there's no ink window. Otherwise, 10 out of 10. It's kind of a roll of the dice with what resin mix you get in the Strata Quartz. And I think that this pen so beautifully highlights the beauty of this resin. Beautifully polished, just really amazing. If I would have loved just a small ink window, maybe right above the threads or something. That's my only, I guess, like, downside of this pen. The nib. I really love the nib. It's beautiful, it's responsive, it has a nice amount of feedback, but I find it too wet, or I'm guessing it's just too wet for the extra fine. You can see when I have lighter pressure, it's not as broad, but that definitely takes a lot of concentration to do. So what could be a perfect score is a little bit diminished for, again, my personal preference. It's something that I might get tuned in the future to be more ideal to my liking. Aurora Optima Viola. So this is the Auroraloid. It's really difficult to capture on camera what this color really looks like, but it's a deep, almost indigo purple, and it shows a lot more depth and light reflection in person. This is a piston filler, ink window, the most smooth threads, honestly, that I think I've ever experienced. Very comfortable in the hand. On this particular one, I have an 18K fine flex nib, ebonite feed. The pen itself is absolutely gorgeous. One of the most comfortable writers there is for my hand in the hand. The only thing that I don't care for with the Optimas is I wish like some of the 88s, that the Auroraloid was throughout the pen. So on the knob, on the grip section, and on the finial as well. I think it takes away a little bit from the aesthetic for me personally. And the nib is fantastic. It's a modern flex nib, so think bouncy, responsive, but not vintage flex. Aurora Optima 365 Brown Variated. This is a numbered limited edition. Piston filler, ink window. Again, very comfortable threads and grip section and diameter. 18 karat medium ebonite feed. Likewise with the aesthetic of this pen, I think I would enjoy it more if there wasn't a black detail, though it kind of goes better with this pen because there are black flecks in the Auroraloid. I find that the medium nib writes too broad for my liking for a medium, but it writes and is ground and tuned delightfully. So again, I think for the pen itself, And then the nib. It's something I might get ground more to my liking in the future, but I just love that original Aurora grind. This is an older one as well, so I'm a little bit hesitant for that reason. My favorite Aurora is my Volterra. You can see the beautiful chatoyance and just utter beauty from this Auroraloid material. This is the 88 model, so rounded ends, Auroraloid Volterra throughout, rose gold trim, piston filler, ink window, very smooth threads, extremely comfortable in the hand. This has a older 14 karat, originally a fine flex that has been ground. So let's take a look. This pen is an absolute beauty, and it's very comfortable in the hand. The only thing that I don't care for very much is the extra reservoir, as they call it, when you move the piston down to use up all the ink. I don't care for that mechanism. I think it's kind of for show, but other than that, this pen is perfect. The nib, again, now that it has been ground to an extra fine to my liking, I wish it did have a little bit more flex and softness, but it's nearly perfect. Stipula Volterra. This is a numbered pen, celluloid, silver detailing, and beautiful graving on the band. This particular one is a cartridge converter, though they do come in piston fillers as well. And this originally came with an 18 karat gold nib, 1.3 stub, but I have opted out with a Stipula Titanio or titanium nib that has been ground. I wish this pen had an ebonite feed, and I would say also the threads do bother me in how sharp they are. They could be smoother, and sometimes this pen loosens on its own, but this pen has a special place in my collection. This pen, by way of beauty and design, is nearly perfect for me, and it's very comfortable in the hand, other than this, what feels to me like sharp threads. Otherwise, it would have pretty much a perfect score. And then the nib, pre-grinding would have been a lower score, but now that it's been ground extra fine the way I like it, pretty fantastic. Now, a couple of pens to mention that have been either decommissioned or meaning they're like archived or not being used, or that I just don't use often to consider it maybe a collection piece. This one is broken, so it needs to go in for repair. Peniter Antiqua Materiali. If you want to see this pen in action, check out my 2024 collection video. I love the aesthetic of this pen and the comfort of it, but the quality control, or the quality in general, is subpar for Peniter and for the price that it is. But it does have a beautiful quill nib that writes delightfully. So good. So do check out that if you want to see this pen in action. The Mr. Parsons pen, Parsons Essential Italic. It was one of my first italics. I really enjoyed it for a time. I do have an inkjet, but I don't use it often. So likewise, if you want to see this in action, check out some of the 2024 collection videos. T1 with a Fude nib. Don't use it often. Something I could easily let go of. I originally got it because I wanted to try fitting a Blue Dew nib in it, and it worked so-so, but it kind of leaked, so I don't really use that much. A Wancher Densho 4-facet in wood, sandalwood. Really liked this pen, but you can see that it has broken, so I don't use it anymore. The wood cracked. I really liked the magnetic capping on this pen, but yeah, I don't use it. It's been decommissioned. Or 45. I have a video on this writing sample and everything if you want to check it out. It's just a pen that I don't use. I don't super enjoy using it. It's a very pretty pen, but Falcon. And the Falcon nib I have had housed in a flexible nib factory unit so that I can put it in a Bach pen. So on occasion I'll interchange some of my Bach nibs and put the Falcon in there. So I still use my Falcon nib, but I don't use the pen itself. I don't find it comfortable, nor do I find it very aesthetically appealing for myself. That is a wrap for my 2025 fountain pen collection. Oh, I also have like a parallel kicking around somewhere too, but thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed taking a look at the fountain pens I have and seeing a writing sample, the pen and ink pairings that I like to use them with, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you. It's all up to you now.